Alrighty, good Wednesday morning, Mid-Michigan. I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro here with another First Alert update for you. We are talking about some windy weather today, and then we still have that weekend chance of rain and snow, and we also have some rain coming in on Friday. And I do want to show you a preview of that Friday rain too, because I feel like we have been almost kind of skipping over that a little bit because we are talking about that weekend rain and snow chance as well. But let's go ahead and take a look at first what we're talking about for today. I am first alerting you to a decently windy Wednesday here, and you've probably already noticed this morning that the breeze is starting to pick up just a little bit more. So as we go through the rest of the morning, we'll see those wind speeds continuing to pick up even more for us across our area. Eventually, by the afternoon, wind gusts are going to peak at about 35 to 40 miles per hour, and we are going to undergo a wind direction shift too. You can actually kind of see that already. This is our current sustained wind. So notice how we have sustained speeds already between 10 and about 20 miles per hour across most of mid-Michigan, but up north, that wind is already starting to turn to the northwest. It's westerly for the Bay region and Flint. Earlier this morning, it was a southwesterly wind, so we're undergoing that shift to the northwest. In fact, when we see that peak in our wind gusts between around noon and 4 o'clock today, that wind will be coming out of the northwest. So be prepared for a fairly windy day. Maybe if you still have a few Halloween decorations that are still up, especially if there are any sort of inflatable decorations, today is definitely a day that you'll have to be mindful of the breeze. And in regard to any sort of leaf cleanup as well, today, at least it is a mostly dry day. In fact, we only expect just a few isolated sprinkles, so at least in that regard, still decent for cleaning up the leaves, but it is going to be windy, so in some cases you'll still be struggling, a lot of leaves just blowing around anyways. But tomorrow, much better day in comparison, and it's all because of the lighter wind that we're expecting tomorrow. So just a west to a southwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. The breeze does pick back up slightly on Friday, but we are tracking some rain on Friday too, and I think there is just a little bit of a double-edged sword there with Friday with the leaf cleanup forecast too. So we have just a little bit of a breeze, not quite as much as today, and even though the rain should be out of here fairly early in the day, so the afternoon much drier, there will still be some damp leaves left over from the morning if you did plan on doing any cleanup by then for Friday. So again, I'll bring that leaf raking forecast up one last time just to show you that again. So out of the next 3 days, tomorrow is going to be the best day for it. And then as we go into the upcoming weekend, we are tracking dry weather completely as we go into Saturday, at least during the daytime on Saturday. And then once we go into Saturday night, that's when that weekend system is going to start to move into our area. So Saturday would also be a fairly decent day for any sort of yard cleanup before we eventually see that rain and snow arriving for mid-Michigan. Now, I do also want to show you a preview of that Friday rain because, again, sort of feels like we haven't really talked about this too much because we have been focusing our attention on that weekend rain and snow chance. So let's take a look at this here. This is at about 2 in the morning on Friday, so essentially right in the middle of the overnight. And as we fast forward towards 4 o'clock in the morning on Friday, we see that rain starting to come in, and this will be driven by a cold front too. So as that rain comes in, it'll be pretty early in the day on Friday, but that right there is 6 in the morning, so a lot of the morning bus stops and the morning commute are going to have some damp conditions across our area, but that rain should be out of here before lunchtime by about 9 or 10 in the morning. That should be off to the east, and then we actually have the dry slot coming in, so the afternoon will be drier, could even see a little bit of sunshine, but notice this here, some clouds starting to return from the west and the northwest as we go into the evening and the early portions of the overnight on Friday night. So while we still can't rule out at least a lingering shower into Friday night, that will be really disconnected from the morning rain, and it should be nowhere near as widespread as the morning rain on Friday too. So just something to keep in mind if you have any of those plans for Friday, that the morning itself will still be quite damp with the rain, but the afternoon in comparison should actually be a little bit better. So not tracking an all-day rain there. Before that weekend, rain and snow chance. I'll tell you right now that we really haven't seen too much change in that, in regard to that in the forecast. So the weekend forecast actually holding pretty steady with that rain and snow chance right now. We'll take another look at that, the hour by hour, and just some details of what to expect, at least as everything stands right now, after we come right back from this break. Alrighty, welcome back from the break. So as we go forward towards the weekend, we're still tracking that chance of rain and snowfall for mid-Michigan, but some expectations to have for the snow this weekend is that with it being our first of the season, we definitely don't expect a lot of it. In fact, most of it to really be able to stick to the ground all too easily, because we are still going to be battling warmer ground temperatures. So that's really a key thing to keep in mind over this weekend. First, again, Saturday, the daytime on Saturday is dry. We start to see the system arriving, though, going into Saturday night, and then Sunday morning we should have some snow showers falling too. But with those ground temps in the mid-40s currently, it's still just far too warm. It's not like some other snowfall events where our ground temps are sort of hovering right at that threshold of freezing, where enough snow could actually tip those temps below freezing. Really, that's not going to be the case here. The ground is still just far too warm for us. However, I still think it is very possible that we do have a light coating of fresh snow by Sunday morning on some elevated surfaces like some cars or some patio furniture, or if you have a deck, especially a deck that's elevated off of the ground, I think it's very possible you could see a light coating of snow on that, because going into Saturday night, those lows should still come right down to about 30 to 32 degrees. So that does put us below freezing. So those elevated surfaces will be able to cool down even more. But so far with what we've been seeing, even in our model guidance this morning, there really isn't much change to the forecast at all. It's actually pretty nice how this has been holding quite consistently for us so far. So there's a look at the first alert hour by hour. This is on Saturday. This is right at noon on Saturday too. We are still completely dry, but more of a mostly cloudy sky. And then as we go into Saturday evening, especially just before midnight, you see the rain coming in here, and I'll actually back the hour by hour up just a little bit. You can see how it starts as rain, and then we start to shift over to that pink color on the map. That's a wintry mix as we change over from rain to snow, with those temperatures cooling off to about freezing. And then by Sunday morning, most of us should be waking up to some snow showers falling. Anything that's left, though, by the afternoon or even by about lunchtime on Sunday too, that should start to change back over to rainfall again, because we will have temps going back up above freezing. They should be into the upper 30s by Sunday afternoon too. So anything showing up here in the hour by hour during the second half of the day, I actually think more so would be rain shower activity, not really snowfall. But here's one of the caveats, though. Once we go into Sunday night, we have temps falling down to the mid-20s. So Sunday night, that'll actually be even colder than Saturday night. So we expect any lake effect that's falling into Sunday night to be all snow shower activity. And that should even continue into Monday morning as well. But of course, with it being lake effect, the coverage of snow is going to be a bit more limited, and it's going to be a lot of our typical lake effect spots, especially up north and in our western counties, that have the better chance as we go into Monday and arguably even into Tuesday as well. One thing to touch on in the forecast around that time, even outside of the rain and the snow chance, is the fact that temps will be cooling off quite a bit. So 38 for the high now on Sunday. We've actually seen that temp trending down a couple of degrees. 37 for the high on Monday, then 39 coming in on Tuesday, and you see those overnight lows there, 24 on Sunday night and then 25 on Monday night. So definitely a much more wintry, or at least early winter feeling to the forecast by the end of the weekend and the beginning of next week. And with those mornings, so both Monday morning and Tuesday morning, it won't take much of a breeze to be able to take wind chills down into the teens. So I would expect some colder weather as we start off next week. Maybe perhaps if you haven't actually gotten the heavier winter jacket out just yet, or maybe your heavy winter hat or gloves, I think that's something you may need to consider doing over the weekend in preparation for that colder weather that we have at the beginning of next week, because this will be the coldest weather that we've seen since the end of last winter. So kind of those early stages of winter feeling like they're starting to come in here for the end of the weekend. But again, that big takeaway for our weekend snow chance or snow shower chance is the fact that there will be some rain mixing in at times, especially during the daytime on Sunday. And again, the ground is still too warm to really cause any sort of significant accumulation. So even with sidewalks and driveways, I really don't think that you'll end up having to shovel anything. In fact, most roads and driveways should just be wet more than anything else. But if you do have that deck, maybe you're letting the dog out in the morning on Sunday, you actually may need to brush a little bit of snow away on the deck. Well, this is all something that we're going to continue to watch closely as we go throughout the rest of the week. And if anything changes, we will let you know right here in our digital live stream, but also over the air in our WNEM TV5 newscasts. And don't forget, too, that we do have the TV5 First Alert weather app. It is a free app you can download in the App Store and on Google Play. This app does have an hourly forecast in it. It has a daily forecast that we update every single day. It also has a live radar in it too. So as we go into the upcoming weekend, it may be a good idea to check on the radar too, especially going into Saturday evening, and if you have any plans on Sunday as well. Well, coming up a little later on today, meteorologist Stone Schaefer will be right here with another digital live stream at 2 o'clock, bringing you more updates for our forecast, both in regard to the wind today and also for that weekend rain and snow chance that we are closely keeping an eye on. So he'll have more updates for you there later on at 2. We'll see you then, and we hope you have a great remainder of the morning.